So we will really unpack in today's conversation what people first or people centered organizing and resilience building mean, and do this through experiences and stories on ground from each of you. Let's start maybe first with you, Akash. You've been a young person yourself who started your journey with the programs in Blue Ribbon, and then slowly you felt something was important for you, and why you moved into volunteering and being around now for almost 9 years as a volunteer and leading some of the efforts. So, why do you think people centered approach, one, is important just for you as your experience, and second, how do you see panning out in the work that you do with young people?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I was quite embarrassed to see myself on the video, so I'm just gonna ignore that part. Uh, but for me, I think people centric is because the work that we are doing, which is basically making the society better, making the city better, involves people, involves citizens. So I feel it cannot be detached from the ones that you're doing work, right? So in our work at Blue Ribbon, the way we go about it is there's a lot of ownership, focus, and on ground work that we do with young people, right from the fellowship to how the fellowship is designed and delivered. So the fellowship, which is the Community Connect fellowship that you saw a bit about, is delivered by young people, it's designed by young people, is coordinated by young people. What needs to go in is also kind of broadly collectively decided by young people from their experiences and also their past basically exposure to being around other young folks, right? So I feel if you're working, and I'm also coming from tech, so I know how not working for young people and designing something sitting on a laptop feels like, and I just can't think of what could be the other way for getting it in. And I think it's also that once you start working with people for whom you are doing things is when you really get the feedback of what you are trying to do. It's very easy कि एक लैपटॉप मतलब एक ऑफिस में बैठ के you are trying to do something and design a program and then just think this is what the young people of the city need, but it's really when you talk to them, go on ground, see how they are reacting to things, do what you are expecting of them by yourself, is when you really get the flavor of that. So I feel those are the crucial bits, I would say, is why I feel it's a crucial role on that.
Not two at a time. Thank you, Akash. Maybe we'll move to you, Garima. You know how Desh Apnayen Foundation also looks at civic as an important part and working with children as an important part. As a philanthropic organization, also the choice of working on civic. Why is that the case for you?
So thank you, Kejal, and thank you everyone for accepting me as a co-panelist for this session. So for Desh Apnayen, we believe that democracy, if we want to establish, it can come through people. So it's for the people, by the people, but people should feel it. So if they want to feel, they should be alert, informed, and active citizens of the country and own their country. So they, as the name suggests, it is Desh Apnayen, अपने देश को अपनाना है. ये नहीं सोचना है कि what is the my responsibility, we have selected elected government, it is their responsibility. We believe in collaborations, we believe in the community and local government collaboration, and we teach students how to collaborate and sustain these efforts. So in most of the video bites you can see our students are there, our teachers are there, there is no faces from the Shaptai team. So we believe that change can be brought if these part of the stakeholders are involved and engaged. So we run the program in schools called Actizen Club, which is an inclusive program. And we run this program in 4 major states, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, and Goa as of now. And we are working with 8,500 schools and around 25,000 plus teachers. And these teachers are real facilitators for us. We just empower them, enable them to facilitate and execute the program. And we are seeing the real change from ground, because when students believe that in my school, in my classroom, with through small steps I can make a change. So that belief through only one single activity, where we say we ask them to write a single letter mentioning the problem they are facing, in their community, in their school, and this latter can be addressed to local government or the school management. So, through this small activity, we have seen thousands of stories where students addressed their problems to the principal or the management, and they made the real challenge of toilet building, water facilities, playgrounds, sports facilities, and these changes are replicating. So we are just providing and helping them with the knowledge and training the teachers, and they are the real partner for the Desh Apnayen movement. So I would say that in that way, students are the real partner for us. Yeah, thank you.
Every year we did the Padyatras.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
thank you. I think also the focus on democracy and building something that empowerment from an early age as a child to know this is my role is such a crucial aspect. And I think maybe in the follow up questions, we'll ask you why did you also make that choice. We'll move to you, Jalandhar. I think as a philanthropic organization, making decision on what to give grants to, what not to give grants to is a very tough choice. I think when we sit on this side of the table, then we realize the complications. So, how has been your thought process on making people-centered decision making?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kejal. First of all, I would like to thank you, the team that they invite me for, and for me, it's I'm a first time I'm attending such type of panel discussion. So I myself counting as a corporate guy. Uh, so thank you once again. The story what we have seen now, that's like one of our charity. So likewise, we have a 34 charity last year, and 34 charity has a 34 different success stories that we may not cover in. But yes, this is the one of the latest that we have. Uh, People first, that I would like to thank my all the team, that is Mastek employees. So we have a one strategy that we collect payroll giving. I mean, every month we collect uh, donation from the employees, and we have our own CSR fund as well. But this is the that we have initiated like last 10 years before, and people who is employees of Mastek Limited, they contribute every month a small amount, and we collect that small amount for a 6 months, and that we donate to the charities. So likewise, we donate to charities with one of the event, that is virtual event, GIA, Gratitude is Attitude event. Likewise, as I mentioned, 34 charities we have been supporting last year, and we believe in 17 SDGs. Now it's become 18, and Mr. Ashang Desai, the founder chairman of Mastek, he started philanthropy in 2002 itself, like 24 years before he started the philanthropy. I mean, what a visionary we have in a Mastek. And from there, somebody already mentioned in the combined session that the act, the amendment is in the picture like on 2013 onwards, right? But before, 10 years before, Mr. Ashang Desai started the philanthropy through Mastek Foundation. Likewise, our tagline itself is like a inform giving and responsible receiving. So we ensure that as a lead CSR, I ensure that whenever I visit in the field, I should meet the community first, then the organization what we which we are supporting, right? To understand their perspective, their uh, what exactly we are, and what reason we are there, right? So recently last week, one of our charity, he they visited Raigad districts, one of the helmet, that is around 30-40 villages, I mean households are there, and there is no tap water. So but they have a well that is like 3 kilometer from that helmet. So most of the ladies or women, they are pitching water from that well every day, 3 kilometers walk up and down, 6 kilometer. So one of our colleagues,
That is
he contacted intervention, and
Same the indigenous.
that's how I asked my charity to visit and let us know like what exactly situation is there, and he explained everything that, and we are going to work on this. So people first means we as a corporate, as Kejal rightly mentioned that while giving a grant, it's a very difficult to understand like to whom we are and for what cause we are giving to the support, right? But if such causes are really in the pictures, that we need to support with the board approval. लोगों के साथ जब हम काम करते हैं तो हम यूजुअली हमारा जो प्रोजेक्ट टाइमलाइन होता है 12 महीने का होता है, बट अगर प्रोजेक्ट अच्छा काम कर रहा है तो उसको हम एक्सटेंड भी करते हैं, राइट? लाइकवाइज अगर हम एक प्रोजेक्ट के साथ हम 3 साल काम करते हैं तो एक अच्छा रिजल्ट हम देखने की आशा करते हैं कि भाई 3 साल के बाद एक अच्छा इम्पैक्ट हमें देखने के लिए मिल जाएगा, एक्सेप्ट जो आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वर्क छोड़ के, मतलब जो विजिबल है, जो दिखता है। बट अब अगर जैसे मैडम ने बोला कि अगर आप बच्चों के साथ काम कर रहे हो तो बच्चा 10 साल 10th पास होने तक उसको 10 साल लगते हैं, तो तब तक आप उसको वेट कर रहे हो, बट उसके अंदर जो चेंजेस हो रहे हो अगर हम देखने के लिए मिल जाते हैं, उसको जो सिविक सेंस उसका बढ़ जाता है, तो दैट इज़ आवर इम्पैक्ट, राइट? तो मेरा पॉइंट है कि भाई हम मशीनरी के साथ हम नहीं काम कर रहे हैं, हम वी आर डीलिंग विद द ह्यूमंस, राइट? तो हमें एज अ CSR, एज अ डोनर और एज अ NGO, that we need to keep some patience that yes, in a future we can see the good result. और ऐसा भी नहीं कि हम जो काम कर रहे हैं 100% उसका इम्पैक्ट हमें देखने के लिए मिल जाएगा। काफ़ी केसेस में हमें 10% 20% भी देखने के मिल जाता है, और काफ़ी प्रोजेक्ट ऐसे हैं। ओके, तो सुनामी आया था, मैंने केजल से कल भी बात की थी, सुनामी आया था, तो सुनामी के बगल में रहने वाले जो मछुआरे थे, जो फिशरमैन कम्युनिटीज़, तो उनके बच्चों को तैरना सिखाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, राइट? वो मतलब 2-3 साल के बाद ऑटोमेटिकली तैरना सीख जाते हैं। तो एक CSR ने सुनामी आने के बाद उनके दिमाग में आया कि इनको लाइफ जैकेट दे देते हैं, और फिर उसका 1 साल के बाद इवैल्यूएशन के लिए लोग गए, तो लाइफ जैकेट वो पैक करके ऊपर रखे थे उन्होंने, जिसका कोई उनको इस्तेमाल ही नहीं है, राइट? तो जब CSR जब भी डोनेशन देते हैं तो हमें वो एग्जैक्टली नीड और बेसलाइन जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वो अगर NGO ने किया है और उसका कितना आवश्यकता है। सी एज अ CSR लीड आई मे गेट hundreds of mail in every year, every month, that we are doing this project, this activities, और ये इंटरवेंशन है हमारा, राइट? बट 100 के 100 ईमेल को रिस्पॉन्स नहीं हो सकता है, राइट? बट उसमें कोई अट्रैक्टिव हो जो सच में काम कर रहा है, जिसके अंदर पोटेंशियल है, जिसके अंदर इम्पैक्ट है, वो ज़्यादा कैच होते हैं, राइट? और पेशेंस वही है कि जब एक डोनर जब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्क्रूटिनाइज करता है तो उसको 150 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से जाना पड़ता है, तो वो भी पेशेंस ही है, मतलब दोनों साइड से पेशेंस है, फ्रॉम डोनर साइड एंड द चैरिटी साइड। थैंक यू।
I think one of the things I wanted to add was, so our work lies with young folks who are in 18 to 22, 24, and post that they continue in BRM. So nowadays it's quite famously said that Gen Zs, and how do we work with Gen Zs and their lingos and so on. But what I feel and what BRM also believes is in 20s, like a young person has a very complicated, complex and a difficult life. And more so in today's time, I feel like when I was in my 20s, it was relatively easier than current 20s. So it does require a lot of patience. It does require like a lot of figuring out what works with them and how do you kind of keep them engaged. And it's through trial and error. Like if someone says that I know the answer, I think those are yellow flags. Because I don't think anyone knows what's really gonna work and what really works. But there are of course indicators and patterns जिसके साथ आप उनके साथ काम कर सकते हैं. And as Kejal also asked, what are the challenges? I mean, there are quite a lot of challenges, right? Like in current times, even if I have to grab your attention for 15 minutes, it's so tough. Like everyone needs a dopamine hit, so on. So for a young person, it's at least 100x than what a person in their 40s may feel like. So you really need to then know how do you engage them, and then आप उनको बोल रहे हो कि यार उधर वो पूछेंगे कि वॉर हो रहा है और मैं कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम में क्यों ही एंगेज करूँ. तो एंड तुम बोल रहे हो कि नहीं तुम तुम्हारे बारे में भी मत सोचो, समाज के बारे में सोचो, और समाज में एक पॉट होल हो रहा है उसके बारे में तुम सोचो. सो आई थिंक like how do you bridge that gap, right? So that's always, और वो हमारा काम है आई थिंक एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एज अ यूथ work, as a youth led organization. That's the work that we are focusing on, that how do you kind of engage with them. And like just to add at the end and as a last point, I think why do we do it? क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि यार पहले like with me there was an investment of whatever like 8-9 years that BRM did. In a way is why I'm able to stand here and talk about it. And I'm sure there are bunch of other people जिनके साथ काम किया हुआ है. Like our ancestors have worked, they have put in the effort. So I feel one is it's a sense of responsibility. I feel, and I feel a deep gratitude, and none of my friends get it when I talk this language, but I hope people here do understand, like I'm like are able to relate what I'm saying. But I feel काफ़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लगती है मुझे, एंड कि हम आगे के जनरेशन के लिए कैसे ये चीज़ कर पाए, एंड हाउ डू वी डू दैट. एंड इट्स very important to do it because what we are seeing in the world, and like all the old leaders that we talk about, I wish if someone kind of was with them and kind of took care of them, maybe they would be much more empathetic to the world than kind of doing war. So I think it's to do with personal development, to do with like working with individuals. So that's why we do what we do, I would say.
Thank you. I think each of you is also highlighting how inner development is as much important as outer development is. And the journey of inner development can't really be measured and put into like a few numbers or a few years as a plan. All we can do is to kind of create conditions for some of this to come out. And also I'm hearing future come up a lot in how you are sharing, because you are looking at future and making investments, saying that in future this will show up. In future, some of the people we've invested in will be able to figure newer solutions and come up with some creative responses. So really thanking each of you to bring those elements out. Also, we are in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the panel, so I thought it will be a good time to open for Q&A, comments from people in the audience. If you want to ask a question to any of the team members,
check.
आप माइक वहाँ पे दे सकते हैं. So anybody who wants to ask a question or even make a...
Hello, myself Satyam from Krishi Vikas Gramin Prashikshana Samstha. I'm from rural Maharashtra. So for people in Vidarbha, we face challenge that corporates don't want to come that far. And we have schools, we work for agriculture community. So how do we bridge this gap? Because it's become very difficult. There are kind enough corporates also, but then majorly for NGOs, smaller NGOs, it's majorly from like CSR reports or something, they try to reach out, and it's become difficult. So like for example, I have a donor who wants to support a school in Pune because they work in there. But I have a school which really need redevelopment. It can collapse anywhere. It serves farmer children. And that school is very much needed for the village. But then I'm not getting that kind of corporate there who can step in there. So how do we bridge that gap?
Okay. So just for your information, we are already supporting Vidarbha region till Nagpur, Chandrapur and Gadchiroli. Right? That's part of the Vidarbha even. Only the things that in Mumbai and Pune, you will get a good speaking people in NGOs, English speaking people in NGOs. That's how they grab more fund from the corporates. But see that, as I mentioned, like 150 emails every month if you receive. So whom you are going to shortlist it?
Right.
But such forums, if you have a such forums, and you will have a such people in your forum, like now after the meeting we can meet in person, right? That time, if you brief your organization properly to the donors, that would be really helpful to understand. N- uh, Usually January to March the fund is like a plan for the years, right? But even if it is like that person has in their mind this organization is required for this cause, right? And as I mean earlier mentioned, like 3 years we continuously support for the one organization. After 3 years we need a the new fresh organization which we also would like to support I mean despite of which part of the Maharashtra. So as per the CSR amendment, it says like it should be within your periphery. Periphery means like my office is in Mumbai. I am like responsible for entire Maharashtra. Likewise, we cover 7 states across India. But organizations such like you that really looking for the support or partnership, this is the best platform I think so to meet. Email is not working. How many emails you have to go through it? I
Right.
mean, so better like uh, on an email and the LinkedIn you just click on accept the
Accept
invitation.
better, yeah, accept invitation.
Immediately message come,
Right.
we are doing so and so. So see, that is one of the medium that we can use, but this is such forum that we can. And uh, organization like a CSR is what exactly looking, it's a looking first authentication of the organization,
Right.
the credibility of the organization.
Right.
That's it.
So, sir, you are working in Eastern Vidarbha. I'll invite you to Western part of Vidarbha, which is Akola, Washim, Buldan. Thank you.
Sure.
Can we pass the mic?
Good afternoon. My name is Vishwa Sudgirkar and I'm from an organization called Oasis India. We, along with my colleague Shraddha, we work to prevent human trafficking and other forms of violence against women and children. So Mr. Jalandhar just spoke about duration of the grant. So my question is related to that and it is open for the panelists to answer. I wrote down my question so that we can save time. So in your opinion, why do some communities continue to thrive after external support ends, while others become dependent on aid? What distinguishes sustainable empowerment from long-term dependency?
So I would say for sustainability, we need to create the channel of leaders. So if you are working with any one stakeholder called a teacher or the volunteers, you need to create a chain of leaders. You need to pass on the responsibility to them. If you need to pass on the responsibility, there is a process. So in the morning session, I was hearing to Madam ki there is a process in channel through which we can pass on the transition phase to the exit phase. So that is our responsibility. If we are working in any community, we need to build the community first. We need to invest our time, energy, resources to empower them, and then they need to exit from there. Because we need to support more and more people in different localities. So need to create the chain of experts who can handle these community situations.
So yeah, duration, you are talking about duration and the sustainability. Two things I got from your questions. Like, see, duration, like if you are able to do it, the project execution in 12 months with the minimum requirement of the CSR, it means like next year there is a probability to get the fund for the continue that project. And after 3 years, definitely impact assessment will be there, right? So 3 years, it's a quite good amount of time that you can show to the donor. And after even 3 years, donor says no to the funding for the further, because that he has seen the 3 years changes in the community. And the sustainability that yes, we have our own format that we share with our charity partners. And before I joined, there was no question that sustainability questions. At the end of the project proposal, there is no question sustainability. So I added that question, sustainable plan for the project, right? And people from the NGOs, they got surprised, like, I mean, even confused that how we can show the sustainability. Rightly, she said, like, sustainability is not like you are changing the entire world, but at least that somebody has to be there to take the responsibility of your project. When you are exit that project, somebody has to be there to recognize your work, right? I mean, that's the sustainability. I mean, it's my understanding that somebody has to be there, right? And after 3 years, if any NGO is working for 3 years in same area with same people, same community, it means like something has to be shown to the donor.
I think one point to add in terms of how we do it is, how do we cultivate volunteers who can take the work ahead once, and that's with scale for us. So the fellowships and the programs we run, a lot of it is done through volunteering energy and volunteering work. So that involves investing time, investing resources to kind of build their leadership. So in the, like, for example, this year we have scaled our youth fellowship. Now, while we have scaled it, the funds and the number of full-time people, which is one of the costs to run a fellowship, hasn't scaled proportionately. The rest of, a lot of it is absorbed by the volunteers, and these are volunteers who have been part of this fellowship, who feel like they have benefited from it. So how do you create that culture, and how do you create that space, I would say, while you kind of do your work, is a crucial aspect.
I'm also hearing how ownership of the process can be built while the process is running, not after, when we are reaching the last year or in the last 6 months. I think that seems to be an important point. Any other final questions? Maybe take all 1, 2, 3, all 3 questions. And then
Hi, my name is Jyoti and I'm from Manasa Sikram. We are a human rights organization based in Bangalore. So my question is, when we tap for funds, whether it is individual donors, whether it is CSR or the external donors, foreign funds, what happens is the priority is given to only certain level of issues. Now, OSS is working on trafficking. We are working on hardcore human rights violations. So how do you attract funds for that? That becomes very challenging. I'll give you one case where last 7 to 8 years, we are trying to mobilize some funds for one particular community in Gulbarga. Why? Because these community, they are about 300 odd families, no education, pathetic poverty, no sanitation, no housing, and these people, the men folk, are actually used, whether it is the older men or the youth, they are used only for thefts. So what happens is, ultimately they have been branded that these are all thieves. You shouldn't be giving them any job, you shouldn't be giving them education, anything. So they are totally cut off from the main society, and for everything, even a small child is always branded that, you are a thief's, robber's child. So we have been struggling massively. And the women folk are struggling simply because they also come from the lowest strata of the caste. So what happens is, they are not able to tap for water, any other provisions, and their documentation is nil. Because of which we are not able to get any welfare schemes from the government, anything for them. So it is merely the survival itself is a big question there. And also along with that will be the dignity. Now, I'm not expecting immediate response, but this is to just to ponder over it. Right? Thank you.
See, I am not asking any questions. I just wanted to share something because the theme is people first, strengthening communities as the foundation of resilience. So the most important is you are working in urban area. So the most important thing is how you are having any disaster management plan in terms of climate change and its impact. Mumbai is one of in the hotspots. Like there are several hotspots. Mumbai is in an hotspot because about sea erosion and other things. Also, Maharashtra is having a drought-related climatic hotspot. And I come from Tamil Nadu. It is one of the worst hit climate change affected state in India. So I just wanted to build the perspective when we are talking about strengthening communities as the foundation of resilience. People first, and equally planet first is also should be the inner meaning of that. So now we are promoting climate resilient agriculture and climate disaster preparedness. When we started our work some 24 years, that time our thoughts were only based on disaster management means only national calamities. So we worked in tsunami and other things. But now it is not just about calamity, it is beyond our mindset. The climate change and its impact is gone to a dangerous level. So any workplace heat-based occupational health hazard has come to the forefront. So in this context, I wanted to know CSR and activists and others to give a dialogue, including moderator.
Okay, last question.
Hello. Thanks a lot for the panelists for interesting presentation. And the topic is very, very interesting. In fact, I was about to attend the first panel, but after seeing the topic, I came here. And since we are discussing about strengthening communities as the foundation of resilience, we are all community-centric and we do a lot of work in the communities. But I have a very basic question. Very often when we think of community as one entity, one block, as a whole. But a country like India, and especially even in Tamil Nadu, as a far developed state, the communities are not homogeneous. The communities are stratified on caste, on the basis of caste. Both, even the dominant caste as well as the so-called the oppressed caste, economically more or less on the same plane, but not very different. For any outsider, there is no difference. So my question is, how do we reconcile this fact? Because whenever we speak community, the community itself is divided. And especially for the last 20 years or 15 years, the religion has also polarized this community. So my question is, how do we work in this scenario? Because we are taking up constitutional rights education program for children and adolescents. And particularly we are focusing on principles of equality and fraternity and secularism, the core preambular values that are enshrined in the Constitution of India and fundamental rights. But we find a lot of difficulties, challenges. We have number of constitutional rights education clubs in communities for children. But we find it very difficult to bring together all the children in one club. The children in the next street are not allowed to come this side. So we find it difficult to bring these children under the one club. So my question is, how do we make the community resilient, keeping these hard realities in our mind? So maybe any one of you, or this is a question for reflection.
Hello. Yeah, I think very important, pertinent questions. Also, very timeless questions. I don't feel any one of us have full final answers, but I definitely want to just start summing up and then inviting all the panelists for like a final closing remarks. People-centered resilience or strengthening communities is, I think, also the most important part which all of us focus, because future is uncertain. The planet is going through a crisis. Climate change as a word may have come now, but people who've been working on the field know it for years. Only now in urban India, people may be feeling heat and starting to wake up with air pollution and talking about this. But people who've been on the field know this for years and centuries. They've said this. And in these times, I think what we are saying is required for us is to come together. And I think the last question that you brought out also brings out the challenge very crucially, that as humans, we're still struggling to coexist. When disaster is at our door, uncertainties are just rising every day, we are still struggling to coexist in our own small groups, in our own bubbles, even as a sector, to collaborate or, So I think that the human dynamic of coexistence, collaboration as a sector or collaboration as communities across our mental ideas of divides that we carry, I think they're all pertinent questions, and we kind of hope to keep deliberating about this in our own work. And as we close also, I think if one final thing you had to say about, what does it really require for us to strengthen communities, or is there's one last story you want to share from your work, or one last way that you carried back for yourself in your work?
But the question come from the Gulbarga madam. That is very really touching heart. And even the last question, that is, my opinion in that, like you are the owner of that community. Since you are working there, our part is like we just back the curtain, we support you, but the solution, it should come within you only. That's what I felt very strongly. And for the environmental, yes, we do. Like last year, we planted around 40,000 trees across 7 states, including your Tamil Nadu was there. And the Thane also, we planted around 25,000 trees in 5-acre land with the collaboration with the forest department. And it is like a type of Miyawaki, and all the 25,000 trees are alive. So that is the big achievement but this is again a small story that we need to work more for if you want to sustain first human beings on the earth, as she mentioned, like we are in that crisis that nobody knows like when what will happen, right? So we need to more conscious about our work. And I of course support first. Last 2 years back, we were like more into education, health, and other elements. But last 2 years, we have shifted slowly to the environmental aspects, water conservation, the tree plantations, where yes. So that if you remember, in our common meeting, one person stand and ask same question for the human rights, right? But you need to make it specify about which section or which schedule your activity comes, right? So you need to be also enough confident and studied that to tell the donors that we are into this schedule 1 to 7, that you need to. And my final remark, we 10 years before I was in other side. Now I'm like sitting here and giving some knowledge or GAN, it's not work, because I also gone through the same situation 10 years before. So we'll work together and we'll ensure that how we can keep the people first for the betterment of the society. That's my final statement. Thank you.
From my side, sustenance is a major challenge which we can see. And as an organization which is not taking any external funds from any donors, so it is very difficult for me to judge or comment or give you the proper solution. But I would rather say कि people first approach we are taking in the organization to build the culture of ownership. So we started the organization 11 years back where the culture was apathy. in the school system कि कोई भी नया NGO आएगा, we will not entertain. So now the culture has changed. They are entertaining NGOs and they are taking good programs for the betterment of the society and their own students. So change has happened. I have witnessed that change, and it will certainly come if we take the ownership of our own community or our own programs. And through NGO, we need to build that culture with collaboration with such organizations who are funding for the cause and grassroots level on organizations who are spreading the good work. So definitely the time will come, then all three of us can change the desired outcomes. Thank you.
I think for me, how do you, the communities aspect, I think one of the things that I've realized is if you talk and if you work on issues that affect everyone irrespective of where they belong and which caste they are part of and religion is one of the uniting ways of working. And for a young person, climate is one of those issues that we have seen that kind of unites them all. So even while building resilient communities, how do you kind of use an issue which is unifying rather than dividing? And in that climate, I would say, or working on heat currently, air, which is broadly part of the climate as an issue. That's been one. Apart from that, I think one of the other things that we have also realized is narratives plays a very important role in kind of getting different stakeholders together. As some of us were sharing that, how do you kind of share the work you all are doing is also very important. So at BRM, we are also working on a WISE narrative, which is kind of an acronym for well-being, inclusive. We are saying how can it be sustainable and entrepreneurial. So through a narrative is also kind of how can you work, and that has kind of helped us to work with different stakeholders, different in a community and place-based approach के साथ काम करना. So I think those would be last 2 points of how I would look at it.
Thank you so much. I think it's a pertinent question for all of us to deliberate on. I think this is a very personal, philosophical question I want to leave the room with. When we are talking about strengthening people, strengthening communities, I think as civil society, this has been our role for long decades. And I think funding started coming in only in the last few decades. And I think what that is influencing us to look at social change as has also evolved with time. So while there is definitely a role of human needs, which all of us need to make sure we fill our own tummies and fill the tummies of people who are working on ground. But it's also what is the right use and the right space for capital, and where is capital best leverage and where is freedom best leverage. Because as civil society also, another important question stays for us, where is our own independent voice and freedom to kind of take the kind of action we would like to take. So yeah, I think as we build for future and uncertainties, it's important to also build for what we feel is most important in this future and not just in the present. So thank you for being a very engaging audience, bringing your own questions, context also alive, while the panelists also brought out theirs. Thank you so much. Over to your show.